microphone. Hello, hello. I think it works now. Let me see. There's sound. Let me check if we also have proper capture from the desktop. I'll place a little bit of music and see if that works. So I was just saying hello, and I was saying hello to everybody. And give me a second. Ooh. Okay. All right. Desktop audio is also working. So yeah, hi everybody. I was just fixing some technical issues as usual. But yeah, so hello, Chaos Bart, Neurolancer, Stone Shapen or Stones Happen, I don't know, Dark Havarian, Numbat, Oisin the Bard, everybody, welcome. I hope everyone is doing well, and you've had a great summer. Yes, it is sad to say, but summer is almost gone. But I hope everybody have enjoyed their summer and managed to do something productive and have fun. So yeah, hello. And we are going to be doing our live stream for the Forge developer update for August. So it's been about 6 weeks since the last developer update that we did. And just let me see here. Okay, I was a little shifted. There you go. Better placed. All right, so I want to talk about some of the changes that happened and the changes that are going to be happening in the Forge within the short term. First, I want to give a warm welcome to our newest member of the team. So we are continuing to expand. Last month, I mentioned Vaibhav, who joined the team as a developer. He has been working for us now for over a month already, and doing some really great work. Lots of improvements that I'm sure a lot of you are going to appreciate a lot. And our newest member is Denise, and you'll see her in the Discord under the Lucky Giggles username, and you can call her Miss Giggles if you want. But yeah, her name is Denise. Actually, would be a good idea to actually show you. There you go. There she is, Denise, and she is from Canada, so she will be our fourth staff member from Canada, joining our international team of adventurers. Yeah. So she's our QA lead. She is an experienced QA lead and supervisor, and has extensive experience performing manual QA tasks and helping create QA tasks for tech startups just like ours. So she'll be helping us detect, like, find bugs and fixing them, and making sure that the user experience is as smooth as possible, and improving as well our internal processes to make sure that, you know, when we make a release, things have been tested, etc. And it is thanks to her that we have found some new bugs already very quickly, just, you know, showing her some of the stuff of how the Forge works, and she was able to find bugs quickly and report them to us, so we'll be fixing those very quickly. And yeah, she's been helping with some of the testing that we've been doing in recent weeks. And yeah, I just want to say welcome, and if you see her in Discord, please welcome her as well. All right. Our next order of business is going to be talking about V11. I know that a lot of people have questions about Foundry V11, especially whether or not we are recommending that V11 or not. or like not yet. And the good news is that we are very, very close, nearly there to recommending V11 for everybody on the Forge. It's incredible when you look at it. Based on the first stable release of V11, it's been 3 months already, May 24th. So tomorrow will be 3 months since the release. So it's been an incredible amount of work. It's staggering. I have trouble expressing just how much work has gone into making the Forge work with Foundry V11 to a level where we are happy to recommend it to our users. And we've been working more than 3 months on it because we had started working on V11 compatibility and testing and things like that for like even 2 months prior to release, or like 1 or 2 months before. So it's been a very, very challenging release for us. And the biggest change was the in V11, the change from an EDB to level DB. So that's for the non-technical person. Foundry itself, how it stores compendiums and your worlds, it's in a database, and the backend, basically how the files are stored, that has changed, and that has caused us quite a few unexpected headaches. We've tested and we've tried and we fixed some of those, and then every time we find new challenges, new things, and we just like, basically we were supposed to have a release today that just fixes and finishes all the stuff that we had planned for the V11 to be considered stable, released, and recommended. But this morning we found a use case that we had not anticipated at all, and it just opened up a new path of things to be looking at in order to avoid any potential issues for users. Thankfully, we have found the solution for that already, and we'll be working. I believe the rest of the team is already working on that solution to basically finalize it, and we'll probably be looking at doing an update tomorrow. Very likely to be tomorrow that we'll be pushing that update, or maybe even later tonight. We'll see. It depends on my availability towards the end of the day. And then that should get us basically to the state where I want it to be, so that we can start recommending V11. And as is usual in how we do things at the Forge, we avoid making big changes on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because that's where the majority of you want to play your games, and we don't like the idea of making a big change just before the weekend, just before people's games, and mostly because if there are issues, we need to be able to be available, to be there to actually go and fix the issues and interact. And during the weekend, most of the team is resting. It's the weekend. So that's why we avoid doing releases during the weekend or even on Friday. For that reason, even if we do make the release tomorrow, that brings everything in line with what we want, we probably won't be recommending V11 until next week. There's also something else with V11 that I am aware of, that is sometimes worlds will refuse to launch. There's data corruption that happens for some people. It's relatively rare, but it happens enough, especially with the number of users of Foundry and on the Forge, we see that happening often enough. And we don't want to just recommend people switch to V11 and then getting database corruptions. The Foundry team is aware of that issue. They are looking into it, and from what I hear, it's going to be fixed very soon. So hopefully, that happens, that gets out of the way, and that's another step that I feel is required before we start recommending V11 for everybody. But other than that, the biggest challenge that we've had was when we had users launching multiple worlds at once, and before they would be able to access, compendium packs from either world. With V11, those packs, the compendium packs are locked by Foundry as it opens them, and that's just the way that the new database system works. So when you have a compendium from, let's say, Pathfinder 2, you launch one world and it's locked, then the second world, it just doesn't have any compendiums at all. And that can be very disruptive if, for example, you were prepping one game and then you're prepping a second one, or one of your players enters a game to, level up their character, for example, and then you need to be playing or prepping for a second group, and then you don't have access to the compendium. So that was very, very disruptive to users' play, and trying to fix that issue in a way that was clean and works and is bug-free, that was extremely challenging. We managed to find a solution after months of searching, and it was extremely difficult, but in the end we did find a solution. It did require some changes on the Foundry side, so we had to ask permission from the Foundry team to allow us to make that change, and that took a little while as well, between the back and forth and explaining the situation and how it worked, and making sure that it wasn't going to negatively impact Foundry either, because let's be honest, Foundry was not designed to work that way. It was not meant for multiple games to be running at the same time. That's an exclusive feature of the Forge with the game manager, where you're able to open, if you have multiple licenses, you're able to open multiple worlds, sharing those licenses, but sharing the same data folder. Whereas non-Forge users, if they want to launch two worlds at once, they need to have two data folders on their machine and separate installations of systems, of modules, and then the worlds are on those two separate installations of Foundry, and they can't interact. So it's a different design. It's something that we've always prided ourselves in making available for users, that they can just launch their games without having to think about how the backend works. And this has caused the issue here from our feature, which was released in September 2020. So it's been a long time feature that our users have gotten used to. So we definitely needed to keep that feature available, because I know that you all love being able to enable the game manager from the Forge and just access your worlds at any time just from the URL, and if you have multiple licenses, being able to open two games in parallel for prepping, or to allow your players to level up or access their character sheet. So that was very important for us to get that bug fixed. So that took a long time, and there's many other challenges that I won't get into, but this was the biggest one. And yeah, it was a challenge, but it's done. There's a few different things that we had to do as well. I'll show you maybe some of the changes that we did. One, for example, is that if you're if you are launching your world after upgrading Foundry, the Forge will give you a backup of your world. That's something that's not possible to do if you don't have the game manager enabled. So if you're like from the Foundry setup menu, you try to launch a world, it will just upgrade it, and we didn't want that to happen without first doing an export for their games. So that was something that we worked on. Now it's, well, not now, tomorrow. In tomorrow's release update of the Forge, you'll be able to notice that if you go to the setup page of the Foundry, you launch your world, it will tell you, do you want to begin migration of the world, but it will also give you here's an export of your world, here's a backup, keep it safe, and that happens just before the migration. So that's going to be very helpful to just eliminate any kind of issues that people might have if they upgrade to V11 and it causes problems, or they get data corruption or whatever that might happen. They will at least be safe in knowing that they had a backup just before they upgraded. And that was very important for us. And as I said, the database corruption issue, that's minor, but I mean, it's not minor. It's rare, but it's a critical issue that we wanted to see fixed first by the Foundry team. And that is going to be happening very soon. So that once that's done, I will be able to recommend V11. Another really important aspect also is with regards to the game system. So if you go to the Bazaar and look at the game systems for those that are the most popular from, I think, like the top 15, it's only recently that most of them have been made V11 compatible, and I think in the top 15 there's still like 2 of them that are not yet compatible with V11. But I think it's acceptable now if you have 2 out of 15 from the top used systems, is still better than saying there's only D&D 5e that's ported to V11 or something like that. Because only like a month or two ago, Pathfinder was still not working for V11, and that was, I think, very important for users, that if we recommend V11 and they upgrade to V11, they need to still be able to launch their worlds. And if you have a Pathfinder game, you can't launch your world, that's obviously a problem. So that's why we wanted to wait until at least a reasonable amount of systems have been upgraded to be compatible with V11. Apart from that, we've ironed out quite a few issues, a lot of polishing work, and a lot of it you're not necessarily going to notice it, you're not going to see it, but it does help us to make V11 work for you. So it was quite an adventure. It took a long time, and I am quite happy to have that behind us. Well, next week it will be behind us, hopefully next week. But yeah, that's about it for V11. I don't know if anyone has any questions regarding that specifically, or if you want to ask any questions, feel free to do so in chat. And there's always going to be the Q&A session at the end when we're done with the developer update. So if you have any questions that you don't get the chance to ask, you can ask that a bit later. So let me see. Chaos Bard asking if we've done testing with V11 and PF1E. So we've done a lot of testing with V11 with regards to various things. PF1E, I'm not entirely sure, but that's not necessarily what we would be testing. We test mostly the core software and the issues with the backend, the infrastructure, the databases, etc., etc. But Pathfinder itself, the system, if there are bugs in it, then the Pathfinder developers would know probably about it, or if you do find a bug, you can report that to them and they'll be able to fix it. So I would expect that if there is an issue with Pathfinder 1, it's an issue with the system itself. But when we're looking at our own testing, it's more about the generic, being able to launch independent of what system it is and things like that. Let me see. There a chance for future releases on Foundry to come to you earlier so that when V12 comes around, the infrastructure can be ready for when it releases. Guitar Guy Nick. So yes, there is definitely a chance for releases of Foundry to come to us earlier. That is already the case. Like I've said before, maybe you missed it at the beginning of the stream, we had been working on V11 support and infrastructure for maybe 2 months before release. So now it's been like 5 months. It's been an extremely hard release to support because there's just so much work. So even if the release is given to us in advance, which is already the case, it's not going to necessarily make any change in how much work needs to happen. I hope V12 will have less work from us. I think V11 was just really a very special use case because of the backend change of the database, which went from a JSON-like file to binary database that has logs on the files. So it was a very different change that had a pretty big impact, and that's why it took so long. There's also, like I was just saying, game systems need to be updated as well. So that's also regardless. Even if we are fully prepared and it's, if it's fully prepared and it's fully working and it's like we're ready, then we are still not going to be recommending people switch to V12 just after it gets released. We need to be able to see that it proves itself stable, that game system developers have moved to it and things like that. So that will always take time. You don't you don't need to be on the latest and greatest. You don't need to be on the bleeding edge of the technology for you to be able to enjoy your games. And I think it's really important for us anyway that when we recommend a version for people, that it's as painless as possible, right? So if you want to be on the bleeding edge, you can always just set your setting to the latest version, right? So if I go here, you know, and instead of Forge recommended, you can just say the latest Foundry release, and then you get that. You don't need to wait for us to recommend it. But when we recommend it, we're telling our users we feel confident enough that this should be relatively smooth. And so if it takes 2 months, 3 months, it doesn't really matter. And like I said, there's actual people who have their worlds get corrupted and refuse to launch, and that is still an issue today that Foundry has. And it doesn't matter the lead time. It doesn't matter how long we've been working on this. It doesn't matter that, you know, the Foundry support is 100% working on the Forge's side. If it still has such a bug, such an issue, then we're still not going to be feeling comfortable recommending it. So we hear that the issue has been reproduced from Foundry's side, so they're able to recognize that there is rare cases of data corruption, and they're working towards improving that, like fixing that specific issue. And so once they do that, then I would feel more comfortable about recommending it. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily, like, it doesn't change anything whether or not we spent 5 months or 1 year or just 2 weeks working on it. It's really more about what are the things that we feel need to happen before we start recommending it. One more question, let me see. Next time that automatic backup could help for people wanting to risk it early. The automatic backup is already there. It's already working. When you upgrade, you know, if you're on the world builder tier, it will take that snapshot. And even if you're not, you know, you can always go to the save points and you can always look for, you know, automatic backups. So that's definitely something that's possible. Can we set that per game, and if we keep one system on V10 and another on V11, that will work? Yes, you can set your Foundry version on a game basis, though we generally don't recommend it. So you can see here, it's set to default version. If I try and change it, it will warn me about it. The big issue is modules, right? So if you have one game on V10 and another game on V11, and they both use the same module, and the module you installed only works on V11, then it will cause issues and crashes on the V10 world, right? So it would only work really to set a custom version on a per game basis when you have different systems and they use different modules, or the modules that they share in common are both V10 and V11 compatible. And it's unfortunately a little bit of a pain point to handle that. From a user experience perspective, it's not necessarily intuitive. Does this version work with V10 and V11, etc., etc.? But, you know, if you have, for example, a system like Lancer, for example, that is not yet ported to work on V11, and you have a world that's Lancer, you could say, okay, this world, I want to keep it on V10, and then just launch that world with V10, and that will work just fine, as long as your world, your modules are not incompatible with V10. All right. Okay, I think I'm going to stop with the questions just so I can move on with the other stuff that I wanted to discuss, and then we'll go back to a Q&A session after the Bazaar showcase. Then if you have more questions, I'll be very happy to answer everything you have to ask of me. All right. All right, another really cool thing that we did recently was our 6th issue of the Stars of the VTT Galaxy. So our latest entry was from Tom Cardos. So I am sure that everybody knows already about Tom Cardos, and they have been gracious and given us some of their time because we know that Tom Carlos is very busy, but he's given us some time in order to give us an interview, and it's really amazing. It's a fascinating article that just tells us a little bit more about Tom Carlos, who is, a battle map designer, battle mapper, wildly successful, and they are one of the earlier success stories in the tabletop RPG as a creator space. Very successful Patreon, and he's very good at what he does. I'm sure that if you see some of his maps, you'll recognize them immediately. He's a certain, palette, a certain style that is immediately recognizable and absolutely gorgeous. And the interview is really, really fascinating, interesting, and you can see kind of the story of how he moved from being an architect and just leaving that career and changing from being an architect to being a battle map designer. It's really fascinating. So I recommend you go and check it out. It's not very long, so you'll be able to go through that fairly easily and then enjoy that interview. All right. One thing else that I want to talk about is another update that we did in the last couple of weeks. You might have noticed the change in this button. It used to say select data files to delete, and I know that a lot of users have been confused when they have to figure out kind of what's happening with their data, and we tell them click the button that says select data files to delete, and they're like, but I'm scared of deleting data accidentally. I don't want to click on a button that says select files to delete. But now it just says view data storage. So that will help users find this UI, but also the UI itself has changed. So you can now see, you can sort by size, you can sort by name, you can sort by, the title, the version. You can see all of the details between your worlds, your systems, your modules, and that will let you get that information. And I think it was something that was requested so often by users, being able to sort by size to just see what modules or what worlds are taking up the most space. That's very, very useful, and now you can do so. I'm very, very happy with that. There's this little info here that gives you a little bit more information about your world, like their description, the folder name, and things like that. So this is really, really great. This is one of the changes from Vabs, who was our recent hire. He's done a lot of changes that have improved, in terms of polish. He's done a really great job, and this is his latest contribution to the Forge. So I'm sure that a lot of people will be happy to see that and appreciate the change. Let me see. Right. Yeah. Final point of discussion is with regards to hiring. As I said before, we are continuously expanding. We've hired Denise as our QA lead recently. We also have someone who will be joining us very soon, starting in September. We'll have, I don't know if I should announce it or wait until they join the team. I guess I'll announce it. It's not 100% official yet, but you'll see Rughold from Dragon's Horn Studios, who you probably have heard of before, who will be joining the Forge as a contractor to help out with development, improving some more on the bazaar, and there's a lot of stuff that we want to do, and he'll be helping on that front. So that's really great. Very excited to have him joining the team. But apart from that, we are also still hiring. And if you have been with us in the last dev stream from last month, I mentioned that Kevin, who has been with us for 3 years, he has left the Forge, and we are looking for a replacement, even though Kevin is irreplaceable, but we're looking for someone to fill in that role that he was filling. And so keep an eye out on our social media and our website, as we will be posting the job posting basically, but we'll be looking for a commercial artist. And basically what that means is that we need someone who would be able to create multimedia for the Forge. That means banner images, icons, things like that whenever we need them, for Instagram, Twitter, social media, images that we can post, as well as some of the images that you see here, like these images here, were all made by Kevin. So that's kind of the kind of thing that we sometimes need, but also doing videos and video editing. We want to have someone who would be able to read our documentation and create short videos, like tutorial videos on how to use different features of the Forge. And I think that will be very helpful. So some video editing, video creation as well, and a graphic artist, and yeah, that's mostly what we'll be needing from the new hire. So that's the job description, more or less. You don't necessarily need to be a super expert at it. We'll be looking at various candidates and going with the person that will feel we like their style, we like the portfolio and the experience and all of that. But feel free to submit your candidature if you think you have what it takes to do the job. And yeah, we have our Bazaar showcase that's about to start. Give me a second. Oh, I think I am in the wrong channel too. 1 second as I open. I will be giving the channel for to Destiny, who will be showing us a couple of packages from the Bazaar. In the meantime, feel free to type #friendship in the chat. As usual, we offer a $20 gift card to the Forge, which we'll be doing a draw at the end of the Bazaar showcase, and you'll see. Give me a second. I'm trying to juggle a couple of things. Where is that giveaway? And Destiny, are you here?
I am here.
All right. Can you enable? I think you lost your camera there. Give me a second. I'll switch to the Discord scene. Hopefully, does that work? That seems to work. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Destiny.
All right, so howdy, folks. Today we're going to be showcasing a few packages from the Bazaar as normal. I will be pasting them into chat as usual, and I can definitely recommend checking out each and every one of these on the Bazaar. So the first we're going to start here with is the Imperial Gunblade package by Vic Nadell. Sometimes your games will take you to the distant future, and maybe you'll find yourself in your favorite 41st millennium. In that case, you might be running some kind of grim, maybe dark campaign, and you could use some art. Heck, I could see this art being very useful for Starfinder 2nd Edition with, I'm not sure if anyone's seen, but it's been preliminarily announced. Get hyped. I know
Yes,
I am.
I have seen that. It's very exciting. Starfinder 2nd Edition.
So maps like these are perfect. So this is an asset package, so you get a bunch of maps and icons in image form that you can enable within the Forge, and it's stored for free. And as you can see, it's a highly detailed spaceship with different sections and stuff. You can see these tokens here. They're from the asset package, and you can see here the officers injured, fighting for their lives against the terrible demonic-like zombies. Just some very good art, and you get options with it. So, for instance, you can go to the Bazaar sets and then go all the way down to Imperial Gunblade. And as you can see here, you can get like the map stuff, or you can get individual furniture to place down. So you can even customize your stuff a bit. It's very good. It's got so much art in a single small package, and it's only $4.99 on the Bazaar Marketplace. That ship is not a friendship. No, it is not a friendship. Absolutely not. Let's just look at this thing. This does not scream friendship.
I think you can make friends along the way, right?
Not with these guys.
Okay.
Definitely check it out. And I'm also going to take this opportunity to show the free module we'll be showcasing during these live streams. We always like to showcase free modules because we want to show that you don't have to buy stuff to enjoy RPG games, although we're always happy when you do buy it through us.
Of course.
This is called the health estimate module. So you have these player tokens here, and you might see that they have some injury overlays. Well, if you're a player, you'll see your own player and you'll see your health bar, but if you hover over an enemy as a player, you'll see this demon is badly injured or near death. And you won't see the health bars, so it's very useful for helping preserve immersion. If you've ever enjoyed running violence in your games and you want to kind of keep the fog of war active and make sure they don't know exactly how well they're doing, modules like these, called the Health Estimate module by Mateus Clement, is perfect for you. You can even customize it a bit. So, for instance, this guy's slightly injured. Up here, I have him labeled as whack playlist. That's when you have barest amount of HP missing. He's whack playlist. He's just off a little bit, you know? And I really like how it just lets you customize the text. So, like, we can go here and you can show the behavior of it. You can show estimates to all, customize who sees it exactly. And you can also set different percentages. So like at 99%, it's whack playlist. 75% to 50% will be injured. And you can delete some of the stuff if you want to edit it. You can add stuff. It's super handy, and it's just altogether nice. All for the wonderful, wonderful price of free. You can install it now. Doesn't cost anything. Though, as always, if you enjoy a module enough, I always encourage seeing if you can donate to the module developer.
Absolutely.
Because module developers, nothing gets them going like a small little $5 donation. It's not about the money. It's about knowing that there's someone out there who appreciates your stuff enough that they've thrown a little bit of their hard-earned money at you. That's just an incredible feeling for these module developers.
Indeed. I think any type of contribution is appreciated. And sometimes, the easiest way is to contribute money, but sometimes you can contribute documentation, you can contribute just reporting bugs to the developers so they can improve it. You can contribute by suggesting features that might be useful. You can contribute by doing actual code contribution if you're also a developer. And if you can't do any of that, then a donation or just saying thank you is also always very much appreciated. And I love Health Estimate. I cannot run my games without it, because we don't want to show the HP of the enemies, but being able to, at a glance, tell if an enemy is badly injured or just barely injured, is very, very helpful for users to know who they need to target next and things like that. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and unmute this website real quick.
Speaking of whack playlist, right?
Yeah. So we're gonna have a certain playlist playing, which I'll talk about in a bit. So let's just listen to a nice little bit of positive music as we move on to our next showcase, ATA's Necropolis by Dead For You Media. Look at this super cheery map.
Very cheery.
Eons of humanoid skulls arranged in a macabre fashion with cobwebs stretching everywhere over a sheer gap facing downward. Imagine crossing through this as a person, just the sheer horror. The dank, awful, dusty smells. You know you're breathing in the collective dust of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dead people. And this is an asset package that contains multiple of these maps too. So if you're running an adventure in a horrifying nightmare like this, you even have options that your players can go through while they explore. For instance, here's a nice little prayer chamber. Doesn't this look like a nice, calm place to pray? No?
Indeed.
Yeah. A nice little
that skull wall is... I had not seen that before.
Imagine something crawling out of this nose here. Like,
I don't want to imagine that. No, thank you.
The worst booger ever.
It's really great package with all those skulls. I like that first one where you could see so many skulls, but they still formed a sort of pattern, as if there's like an altar or something beneath them, or formed by the skulls itself. That was really interesting. And I think there's quite a few of these maps in this asset pack, so if you don't mind actually browsing to the assets folder and just showing quickly the available.
Sure. Here, let me just search real quick for Necropolis. There we go. And give it just a second. There we go. And so you'll see here there's a City of the Dead.
Slow.
Yeah. Just a bit. These images are also pretty big. There's a nice little shiny one if you want to... Let's just put that down as a tile real quick. Like that, like maybe you've just purified the map and your players want to see that. And, or maybe you're in like some terrible arena-like place now. Like this seems like this would be perfect if you place it down as for a boss fight, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can hold down Alt to stretch it out. And then, oh my gosh, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. I can already feel the energy coming off of the sacrifices that have happened in there.
Absolutely. Would recommend checking it out if you're looking for Necropolis maps. There's not a lot like this that's so crimey and dingy and stuff, so I think it's worth checking out for that. And it's only $7.99 in the Bazaar Marketplace for all of these maps. And only some of them are like alternate versions of each other too. You've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like a lot. I'm not going to count it all. But you got a lot of maps with this package, basically.
Mm-hmm. I think it was over 20 from a quick count on my side. Yeah.
I wasn't taught to count in kindergarten, so I wouldn't know. And then the final package I want to show off is Towns and Villages 2 by Micro Music. First off, really nice thumbnail. I think that's a new version with a new feature with version 11 with how well it showcases the art with that. I just love how that looks. I love when software like this makes you happy and sees and shows you the fun little icons and stuff that like just makes you proud of the collection of software you have. And this is a nice little playlist by Micro Music that you can enable in a game and drag in. And you'll see here that we have some nice little calm images. We've been playing Farm Along the Road and A Day Off. I'm going to have a day off soon. That's going to be
perfect music for the Necropolis.
Yeah. What the Windows, a little more quizzical, but also still calm and happy for the village. This is definitely the kind of music I would run in a village that's slightly mysterious but not spooky for my players. I feel like variation and variety is the spice of life. And these provide quite a few versions. I'm definitely going to be using this in an upcoming campaign that I'm going to be getting back to, so that's going to be nice. As usual, Micro Music has some rock bottom prices, which is always insane. It's only $3.99. That's only $4 for this playlist, and you get quite a few options. They're looping, so you can set them on a loop so you can run your very own Divinity Original Sin game or whatever with your own customizable music and stuff. It just reminds me a lot of Divinity Original Sins music, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's
I haven't
it.
played it, so I wouldn't know, but I trust you on that. And
Yeah,
just from my little perspective, just want to say that to me, music is one of the most important elements in a game, as it kind of solidifies the atmosphere, and it just gives the mood of the game, and it's an incredible tool for immersion. And I feel like it's the glue that will make the story, the environment, the map, everything just coalesce into something that the people, the players can imagine. So I really love finding good music to use in my games.
but yeah, that's it for my Bazaar showcase. I'm always so happy to show off the Bazaar packages, and I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Kind reminder before I go that this is your last chance to sign up for the free $20 Bazaar gift card. And thanks for having me, Kakaroto.
Thank you. Yeah, indeed. All right, let's switch back to the scene. I'll remove this Discord thing. All right. So, I believe most of everyone has entered into the. I see some late joiners. All right, I'll give you all a few more seconds. So for anyone who has not yet entered into the giveaway, just type #friendship, as you can see in the chat, and you will be entered into our $20 gift card giveaway, and we'll be drawing an entrant in just a few more seconds. Just waiting for the late entries. All right. Okay. I believe, drum roll, I'm actually gonna show here. There you go. We're using MoveBot for that. And Lectu. Hey, I know Lectu. Seen him a few times with some good suggestions on how to improve the UI. Congratulations, Lectu, for your $20 gift card. Destiny will reach out to you with that gift card so you can use it. Our gift cards, you can use them either on our subscriptions or even to purchase content on the Bazaar. So congratulations, and let's just announce that in chat officially. Lectu, congratulations on winning this entry for this month's giveaway from the Forge. Awesome, and thanks for being here in order to participate. All right. And so we've done our kind of update. We did the Bazaar showcase. We did the gift card giveaway. What's remaining is the QA session. Q&A session. Sorry, I've been saying QA recently quite a bit because of our new QA staff members. So, all right. Ooh, I hope the chat does not just like time out. I don't remember if yeah, it just clears itself automatically, which is annoying. I don't know why it does that or how to make it not do that. But anyways, so if you have questions, feel free to ask, and I will be happy to answer all of your questions. All right. I'm gonna scroll up in case I missed something from previous messages, and I'll see if there's anything that I need to answer. I see Master Flinter had asked about half an hour ago if there's any way to get more than 20 gig of storage. Right now, if you're on a yearly plan, you can add extras. So you should be able to, I think, push it to 45 gig total. We are considering also adding more ability to increase that storage space. Although I think with like 20 gig or even 45 gig, that's really it should be more than enough for most people. But yeah, you should be able to add those extras, and I believe it's $6 per year for every gigabyte or something like that, for every 5 gig. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's $13 for every 5 gig, something like that. for the year, not the month. So that's something you can do. Let me see. Questions. Question from Dinesh. Since we're sim linking, if we can make it so that V10 and V11 games can coexist and use different module releases. Yes, it would be possible from a technical perspective, and it is something that we've considered. This is, by the way, for context, for those who have not been here from the start. That was in response to a question about being able to have 2 games on different versions of Foundry, and the issue being that they would be sharing the same modules and systems. So the issue is really about UI and convenience and how complex it's going to be without just, confusing users to the point of nobody using it. On top of it being a technological challenge in its own. But if you have multiple versions of the same module installed, how do you update them? Which one do you update? How do you select which version, which copy of the same module to update to which version and to assign it to which game? Things like that get so complicated that it's nearly impossible to get a UI that is usable that allows you to do something like that. But it is something that we have considered, and we are still considering how to approach that kind of feature, because I know that it's something that people have asked for as well. Let's see. Guitar Guy Nick, did my suggestion on being able to move settings between worlds easier? Because a lot of times settings between worlds are the same other than copy environments, but more of a button that can copy one setting to another world. Would that be possible? I don't think it's up to us to really do that, because there are already really great tools that do it. I believe there's a module, I don't remember the name of it. I think it might have been copy environments that does that for you already. And you can just export your settings from a world and just import it in a different world, and it just works. So it does a really great job of it. So there's no reason for us to try and reproduce something that already works. And it's Forian's copy environment. Thank you, Chaos Bard. All right, skipping some of these. It's all friendship. More friendship. There's a lot of friendship today. All right. Thank you for more friendship. Drum roll, the winner. Congratulations, Lectu. Sorry, just catching up on the chat. Will there be a blog post about what was discussed tonight? Yes, Cass Ploytrofer, who asked the question. Absolutely. We generally summarize what we've discussed and put that as an announcement in our Discord. We'll also have a blog post, and then you have the video on demand that will be posted on YouTube, as well as being available on Twitch. So for anyone who missed a portion or the entirety of this dev stream, you should be able to catch the news and watch this event again. Oh, I see Destiny already answered that. How have you been? I've been doing okay. I believe last time I discussed about kind of feeling burnt out and trying to take some rest. So that has been going more or less okay. I've been resting a lot more, so that has been good. There's been a lot of vacations. I wouldn't say a lot, but there's been a few. Ranziel has taken a few vacation weeks in the past month. Destiny is going on vacation next week. Well, actually tomorrow. At the end of tomorrow, he'll be going on vacation as well. And so, one second, I'm just realizing I have that music loud over there. And so, yeah, with everyone, well, not everyone, but a few different people taking vacation and being off. Derek as well is currently off work. And so I have to compensate by coming back and doing some of the stuff that usually I have delegated to the team. So I haven't been entirely off. I haven't been entirely resting, although in about a month we do have a planned vacation for mostly all the team. So that's coming, and hopefully we'll be able to rest and enjoy that time and feel better and come back refreshed. All right. After you finish all the V11 stuff, can we look forward to some new features? Chaos Bard, that's a great question. We have a plethora of features. We have lots of ideas. We have so many different things that we want to do, and we will be continuing to work towards that. And we have some people who were working on V11. We had some other people working on polish work. We had the Bazaar update recently as well. So there's quite a few things that happen all at the same time. We have, I think we had about 40 pull requests, and now we're dropped to about 28. So we still have 28 pull requests in our code from the team that still need to finish being reviewed, tested, bug fixed, etc. before it gets pushed to everybody. So there's still more things coming, and even when those things are finished, there's still more ideas. There's definitely the feature that I showcased last time, which is the share folder. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's really great. We've done a lot of work on improving that. I thought it would be released by now, but it was a little bit delayed because I was taking a bit of time off, and Eranziel, who was the main point person on that implementation, was also on vacation. So that just cut off a little bit of that development time. Also, I did move Eranziel as well to move back to working on V11 along with Phi. So V11 obviously is a big priority. So we concentrated a lot of work there. So that slowed down the release of the new assets library feature, but that's coming very, very soon. I was hoping to get that by this week, but it's probably going to come in 1 or 2 weeks. You'll see the update, and then you'll be able to just share a link and be able to share folders with your friends and players, and just have like a specific folder for others to upload content into and things like that. So that's going to be very, very cool. Also a new interface to manage your API keys, so you can generate API keys. You can see all the keys that were generated, give them names, and revoke them and things like that. Like individually revoke your API keys instead of revoking the whole at once. That was a feature that was requested a few times a while back. So that's finally coming. And so yeah, also being able to just list all the folders that you shared with someone, and being able to do that is just going to make things so much easier. Like it's just going to improve our assets library so much. And that's coming very, very soon. I'm very happy with that. So that's one of the big new features that's coming. Plus, there's a lot of stuff working on the Bazaar as well. But yeah, when all of that is done, we still have a big team of developers, and we still have a lot of stuff that we want to do. So there will always be new projects, whether features or not. That remains to be seen. The way that we do things is generally a mix between people working on bug fixes, working on polishing changes, just like improving. Something, for example, we did this morning was the import wizard, just changing that text to say, if you're importing from a local foundry, make sure that foundry is closed before you do the import. It's just adding one sentence in a UI, but that needs to happen. So to me, that's what goes into the polish, right? It's just improving, doing small little changes to just improve the user experience in general, and that takes a lot of time, a lot of figuring out what works and what doesn't, and improving. Like on the blog post, blog website, the footer was change was not synced up with what we have on the website, so we did some changes there as well. Lots of polishing work. So that to me is also important, because when you concentrate too much on new features, then you end up with all of the previous features that you did in a state that is maybe broken, or they need an update, or they aren't as complete as they should be. So I like to slow the pace down a little bit sometimes and just look back at what we have and make sure that things are smooth. So that was a long answer for your question, but yes, definitely we'll be doing more features. Always, we have some great ideas coming, but we'll always also try and um, find a right balance between what features to implement and what bug fixes or polish or improvements, or just like improvements to our own internal tools to make development easier as well. That's a big focus for our Q3 targets. So yeah. When is the loud siren for when you're out of data space coming? Zenja. Well, that's a good question. Should we do a big siren? I mean, in theory, when you start getting out of space, you will see a little red dot next to your name in the top right corner. So that's not a loud siren, but it is an indicator of low space. Hopefully that's enough for you. What's next? Question from Lactu. I'm a happy user of the Forge, thank you. It seems it's been through a rough patch lately, at least from Europe. Is there any ongoing concern with the new cloud provider, or was just bad luck? I think it's bad luck. I know what you're talking about. It's been about 2 weeks it started, and it's happening more in Europe, but we've seen it also happen in North America. And I believe it's an issue with a kernel. And it's only, like, from the technical perspective, it only seems to be affecting Kubernetes servers, and it's not that we have an issue with our server, but it's the actual machine that gets stuck. The CPU is stuck. For some reason, there's something that happens, and the kernel just locks up the CPU entirely, so it stops responding. Like, basically, if we have 8 CPUs on that machine, if your request is going to one of our processes that is currently being scheduled on that CPU that is blocked, then that will just be in an infinite loop for some reason. The only way to fix that is just to reboot the machine, which is really not great. I don't know yet why that happens, but it's only started happening for about 2 weeks now. And I've seen it also on, like, originally I thought it was a hardware issue, but it's happened on multiple different servers, like physical servers, physical machines, and it's also happened on the North American region on one of the servers there. So there is something that wasn't happening before and that just started happening that seems to cause the kernel to crash or something like that, and just blocks the CPU. That's 1000% something we don't want. So we are looking into that. We're trying to determine what is the cause so that we can prevent it from ever happening again. Because obviously, we don't want that. We don't want to be on the lookout to reboot a machine in case it locks up. That's just not normal. So yes, it is an ongoing concern, like you said, but hopefully it's not going to last very long. And it's just incredibly difficult to figure out the cause of that, especially because it's not our app. It's not something from our side. It's literally the kernel spewing messages on the console that says, hey, CPU is locked, and refuses to respond. So it's very hard to diagnose, unfortunately. And at the same time, it's relatively rare. And when it happens, we don't want it to remain there. So we have to reboot the machine to unlock the system, obviously. So it makes it even harder to diagnose. All right, let's see. Aranzel, really looking forward to getting the next SS library update out. Me too. All right. Dungeons and Bourbons. Guess who had the time zone wrong? I'm gonna guess you. So you came 1 hour too late, unfortunately. But we do have the video on demand, so you'll be able to catch up on what happened. All right. Oisin Debart. I've been doing PF2 for a while. I'm about to start running a new 5e game. I haven't been keeping up. What's the status on D&D Beyond import? That's a great question. I actually was going to mention it when I was answering the previous question about new features from Chaos Bard, and then I guess I skipped over that. But yes, D&D Beyond is another big project that has unfortunately been lagging behind a bit. There's not a lot that still needs to happen on the conversion side itself. There's some changes. We've done a few releases of the compendium library from recently to improve the import system and fix some bugs there. So there's still progress happening on that front. The conversion itself, there's still some missing stuff, especially like weapons, armor, magic items, like the actual fields. So, you know, if you import a weapon, you just get the description, but you can't actually roll it to like attack and do damage. So that's some of the lacking features in the conversion. There isn't many of them, like I said, so we still need to finish those. I've just been so busy with other stuff, and Arcanist was in charge of the D&D Beyond integration. He made a lot of good progress on that, but then he left due to a internship from school. So I don't know the current status. I believe he should be finishing his internship soon. Perhaps he's going to be coming back with the Forge, perhaps not. I don't know yet. But if he comes back, then he'll be able to continue working on that D&D Beyond integration. And my biggest concern, well, not concern, but I think the biggest challenge with the D&D Beyond import in order to get it out of the beta is going to be the integration with the Bazaar itself. Because right now, for example, if you import a world, if you convert a world, it will just overwrite your existing world. I want to be able to import twice Lost Mine of Phandelver and import it into 2 different folders. So that's something that we don't do. If there's an update to the conversion process, or there's an update to the data from D&D Beyond, we can detect that, but we don't yet tell the user, hey, you should be able to update your module, you know, things like that. So all of that from the perspective of the user experience, so that it's smooth and it's you know, a no-brainer. To me, that's where most of the work is waiting. But before I even get to that, I want to finish with all of those small little details on D&D Beyond conversion work itself, and then we'll get to doing the proper integration with the Bazaar, and then we'll be able to get it out of beta. Hopefully this year. Honestly, I keep saying soon, but I have not been very good at keeping up with that, unfortunately. My bad, but yeah. Hopefully we'll be able to do it without further delays. But yeah. All right. What's the next question? No hope for Demiplane Nexus support. That's a good question. Zenja, the Demiplane Nexus support is not something that we plan on doing personally. There are probably some modules that will be created that will integrate with it, and I'm happy to let them do that. I think that there's at one point a limit to how much we want to do, because if we try to take on too much, then at some point everything will just stall. And I feel like the D&D Beyond integration, well, amazing and great, and I love it. I love what we've achieved. I feel like maybe it was the one thing that was a little too much for me anyway, in terms of taking on more work instead of just finishing what we already had. Because we still had some features we needed to do and things like that. So I don't want to take on any new projects, any new big projects like for example, Demiplane Nexus support, if we don't have to. And I don't think we have to. But we already have many different projects. We already have a lot of ideas that we want to explore. So I think I want to concentrate on the things that we already have plans for before taking on anything new. And D20 TV, hype, hype, hype. Hey, D20 TV, hope you're doing okay. Nice to see you here. All right, I have caught up with all the chat. Sorry, it took me a while. Any new questions? Hi, thank you. Right, Dream Sleever, your question is Dream38 Love. It's a nice emoji. I like that. All right. I'll give you all a few more seconds or something, minutes, to see if there's any more questions. All right. So D20 TV is about to ask a question. Just send in love and see if 11 runs smooth. Awesome. Thank you, Dream Sleever. Lectu, what is my favorite RPG? Oh, that is such a difficult question. I've always been a D&D 5e guy. Loved D&D 5e, played D&D 5e, and that was the only system I liked to play. I wasn't really interested in learning new systems. I did play Starfinder, which I had a lot of fun. Thank you, John Demand, for that one-shot, and we should do another one-shot, by the way. But between Starfinder and then Pathfinder, that I was not really looking forward to learning Pathfinder, because I heard that it was complicated and all that, and I really liked knowing D&D 5e like the back of my hands and not having to learn anything new. However, with the OGL fiasco that happened in January, me as well as the other players in my group, as well as our DM, as well as many of you out in the world, had the same feeling of not wanting to play D&D anymore and turned towards Pathfinder. So I started playing Pathfinder instead, and I've been enjoying that very much. That being said, Arenziel did a one-shot of Lancer for us. And I've started DMing Lancer as well, and I have to say I fell in love with Lancer, and I think that's my favorite system right now. It's such a great system. It's so simple and yet so complex, and like combat is great, and the narrative portion of it is great, and I have been enjoying Lancer very much. So I would say, even though I don't actually have a Lancer game, like regular, we just did the one shot, and I did one shot that I DM'd as well. My regular weekly game is Pathfinder 2, but really I fell in love with Lancer, and I'm gonna say currently that's my favorite RPG. Let's see. The question from D20 TV: what should Eunice create next? They are about to be stranded on an island. Ooh. So for those who are not aware, D20 TV that you see in chat is a streamer that we support, we sponsor. So you can go and check out their channel, and they are doing a really great homebrew game, and they've made this NPC called Eunice as a reference to me, my name being Eunice, but spelled entirely differently. And so they have this NPC Eunice who is creating this Magitech called the Forge, and it's really great. And so, yeah, what should they create next as they are stranded on an island? I'll have to think on that, and I'll reach out to you with if I have any cool ideas for you. All right. All right. And everyone, I would recommend that you go and check out D20 TV's channel and their stream, follow, and just check out the game that they're building for their group. Right. My friend and I are learning Pathfinder with Foundry VTT plus the beginner boss. It's really easy to learn. It's exactly why we switched to PF2. Yes. I have to say, even though I said, Lancer is my favorite system right now in terms of the rules and, all of that. Pathfinder 2 on Foundry VTT is absolutely amazing. The work that the system developers did to make that system easy to use, intuitive, automated, and just like giving you all the information you need and everything is just a piece of art. Okay, love it, great job. And the beginner box, the Abomination Vault, like the actual adventure that they've built, not just the adventure, but the Foundry VTT conversion of that adventure, it's really amazing. Highly recommended. If you have not bought it yet, go and buy it and play Abomination's Vault and the beginner box of Pathfinder 2. You're gonna love it. Having a lot of fun with that. All right. Leg 2, that's one I really want to try. Lancer, yeah. Give it a try, definitely. Check out the rules, check out like some of that, and give it a try. Funny story, I had my first Lancer game on a Thursday, and 3 days later on Sunday, I was DMing that same game to a group, and yeah, three days after my first session 0, basically, I did a I DM'd. It was just kind of like a coincidence and all that. It wasn't planned or anything, but it was a lot of fun. Testing Cray. You start again in a month. Bailey escaped a Charybdis last session. Wow, okay. New box and Foundry teaches you as you go with Foundry everything. System size, size. Yeah. YouTube. Okay. Yes, Dreamsleeper. Lancer doesn't yet have V11 support. Erenziel, who is Forge developer, Forge employee, and who is currently also in the chat, I believe. I saw him writing something earlier about Lancer. He is the developer of the system, of the Lancer system. From what I heard, it should be V11 ready at some point soon-ish. I don't remember what was the holdup, but yeah. I think he was rewriting a big chunk of it from scratch because of just how massive the change had to be, and so the new version should be coming out at some point soon, and it's redesigned a little bit of some of that backend. There he is, Ranziel. We're working on it. V11 support is coinciding with a big refactor. Yes, there you go. No ETA. Never give an ETA. I have learned my lesson. Whenever you give an ETA, you end up realizing that you needed to give yourself way more time, and then you stress, and then you burn yourself out. So that's why I stopped giving ETAs. Yeah. All right. Every ETA you've given, you have missed. Yeah, that's the problem. Either you miss it or you stress. The rule that I decided to set for myself is you only give an ETA when you're done. Not, oh, it will be done in 2 weeks. It was done yesterday. Now I'm going to tell you in 2 weeks it's going to be released. Why? Because I'm expecting the next 2 weeks to potentially, be testing. Maybe there's going to be some bug, but in theory that's already done, blah, blah, blah. And then it's better to say it in 2 weeks and then you release it 1 week early. But anytime you make a promise of a date and you don't have the full thing already done, you're just setting yourself up for stress and potentially missing your own deadline. Yeah. All right. Yeah, when it's ready, TM. All right. Any other questions? Questions? No questions? Yes, questions? All right. If nobody has any new questions or statements, or just wants to say hi, then I will leave it at that. We're almost at 1 hour and a half. And so, yeah. Spooky things for October? Oof. I'm guessing Destiny will do his annual Halloween one-shot, and I'm going to guess that I'll be invited. I think he already told me that I'd be invited to his one-shot. That's probably my plan for this spooky October. For me, will be to play in that one-shot. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna believe that Yana, who is our community manager, will be preparing some spooky stuff for October. But I haven't yet looked into any plans for October. It looks so far away. But yeah, we will have our vacation in at the end of this September, and then we'll see what happens in October. A bat on Forge's logo. It could be a bat. It could just be, blood splatter on the shield. Why not? That could be fun. But yeah. Candy for the skeleton gods. All right. Ooh, cool. Destiny's gonna get his own NPC in D20's D20 TV's game. All right. Okay. It was a great chat. Thank you all for participating. I had a lot of fun and just discussing with the community. I always love to do that. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating in the giveaway and in the Q&A session. And it was really nice to talk with you all. I will leave it at that, and we'll do a session again in a little over a month, probably as we come back from vacation. And then if you have more questions, you know where to reach me. I'm on Discord. And see you next time. And let me see, I do have some links here. If you want to follow us on our social platforms, I will be posting the links to those platforms. So there you go. That's all the stuff. Twitter, Discord, Reddit, Facebook. My Patreon is in there as well. Our forums and our Instagram, which is relatively recent thanks to Yena's work. So yeah, there you go. Please follow, join our social networks, and so you don't miss any updates from us. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day, and see you next time. Cheers.